Hello, ISPA. This is Ryan Lisk of Lisk Associates. Hello, I am coming to you from Sarasota, Florida. Sorry I won't be at the retreat this Friday, but in order to put you all a step ahead, I wanted to put together a little video and give you some exercises to do from your DISC assessment that would sort of put you ahead of the game so you can have a better conversation when you're at your retreat and you won't have to spend so much time actually thinking and doing the work. So the idea is I'm going to give you a 15-minute video here and tee you up on about half the pages. You should have your DISC report, which all of you should have 20 pages of information. And what I'm going to do is walk you through some of the exercises, let you read this ahead of time, prepare yourself a little bit for the retreat. So when you get there, you all can have a team building discussion around strengths, weaknesses, trends, things you see, a little bit of self-awareness, some personal and professional development. So without further ado, I'm going to try to keep this video at about 15 minutes, giving you everything you need to prep for the meeting. And after this video, you should take about 40 minutes or so to actually do the work. So over the next 48 to 72 hours, hopefully you have a few minutes of quiet time where you can read this, do a little bit of thinking, and then you can discuss your results with your team on Friday. All right, so let's jump into this. I've got my report pulled up as a sample, and as you open it up, the first thing you're going to read is the general characteristics after you get through the first two introduction pages. And everybody has 3 paragraphs here. Now, I will tell you there's 385 different versions of this report. And what I want you to do as you read through the 3 paragraphs, when you read a sentence that sounds like you, put a check mark by it. When you read something that is not you, put an X by that. And sometimes there'll be a few statements in here. I call these things that make you say, put a question mark by those. All right, so we'll do checks, X's, and question marks. And after you get done reading, down at the bottom, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, that 3 paragraphs is nothing like me, and a 10, that's me, that's spot on. Give yourself a number there, 1 through 10, how closely that sounded like you. So one of the things I will want you to do on Friday is just talk to a partner or a team if you're at a table or whatever, however the conversation sort of sets up as to why did you give it the number you did? You know, why did you give it an 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, whatever it is? Actually, if it's less than, if you give this less than 6 and you're doing this prior, if this isn't you at all, maybe you could reach out to me before the meeting and we can see what happened. We actually had somebody one year that they ranked the statements backwards. And so the report was nothing like them. It's because they actually put the statements down backwards. So things can happen. Hopefully, you're a 7, 8, 9, or 10, and this sounds close to being like you. After you get through that exercise, on the next page is called Value to the Organization. This is a very positive page. Now listen, y'all, if you read your general characteristics, don't get frustrated if you read something that maybe a statement that comes out a little bit maybe too honest or too transparent. Like for me, I think one of my first sentences, Ryan has an ego. And so you want to be, maintain an open mind. There's thousands of statements in here. Well, at least hundreds of statements. Try not to get hung up or lose any sleep over one statement that may come out and sort of rub you the wrong way, or maybe it's something you don't agree with, all right? So we say, is this report 100% true? The answer is yes, no, and maybe. After you make it past the general characteristics page, you get to the value to the organization. And everybody has a short bullet list here. Now, all your bullet lists are going to be different, remember? So what I want you to do here is rank your statements first, second, and third. And the way you're going to do this is, I read this page as, when someone leaves your office, how do you want to be remembered? Or when you're done with this job and you move on to your next role, how would you like to be remembered? Or maybe as a leader, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want to be known for? And so check off your top 3 and then be ready to discuss those, the reason you marked those the way you did. After that page, we have checklists for communicating. We call these the do's and don'ts for communicating. So this first page is ways to communicate with you. So everybody has a little longer list here, but what I still want you to do is check off your top 3. And the way you read these, what are your top 3 on this list that you like people to do to you from a communication perspective? So what are things that you enjoy? We would say maybe these open your communication door. and rank those 1, 2, and 3. Check off your top 3 there. And when you're done with that, move on to the don'ts. So on the don'ts, these are things you don't want people to do to you from a communication perspective. And if they're doing them, you tend to become shut off or defensive, or these close your communication door. All right, so check off your top 3. The way you would read these statements, so it says ways not to communicate. I always put the word don't in front of these statements. So for instance, on mine in the example, I would say don't waste time trying to be impersonal, judgmental, or too task-oriented. So some of these are written almost as a double negative, and so adding the word don't helps clear up how to interpret the statements. Okay, moving through these quickly. You know what to do. Rank those 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to skip the pages that don't have an exercise. So we're going to skip the descriptors. We're going to skip the graphs. You're going to go over these on Friday, but there'll be things that Crystal can walk you through. So you'll be able to, you'll go over these pages, but there's not pre-work for these to get ready for Friday, including the wheel. You'll see my wheel looks kind of crazy there. Perceptions you're going to go over, and communication tips. The next page, as you get to, it should be about page 16. It's called Ideal Environment. So these are a set of statements that you generally would agree with, or they frustrate you at work. What I want you to do here, most of you, if the report sounds like you're going to find these statements are generated around things that you enjoy at work. What I want you to do is pull out your top 3. So which of these statements do you most enjoy? So for me, I checked off number 1 as an opportunity to display excitement and fun while getting things done. Right? That sounds like me, I think. So even doing this video, excitement and fun, and we're getting things done. That fits. I enjoy this kind of thing. I feel like this is productive. We're having a good time. We're efficient. We're saving some time. Those are all things that energize me and things I enjoy. So as you read your own list, check off the top 3 things that you enjoy as part of your job. Be ready to discuss those on Friday. And make sure, this would be an opportunity maybe to make sure that you're getting enough enjoyment out of your work. This is a good place to share these kind of things. Next page, keys to motivating. On the bullet list here, again, let's check off the top 3. What are your top 3 wants? So for instance, for me, number 1, Ryan wants the opportunity to express accomplishments of the company to others. So to me, I enjoy that. That's motivating to me when we can talk about things that we've done, what results have we generated, and success stories that we've had. So case studies I find really energizing. So anyway, that's why I would check off that one. That's my top key to motivating. Those are things I want. I enjoy that. So for you, whatever's on your list, come up with your top 3. And the next page, also keys to managing. So what are things that I need? So for instance, my number 1 there, Ryan needs to manage enthusiasm in order to accomplish the desired outcome. So I don't want to be too used car salesman. I want to make sure that we're generating results and we don't overpromise and under-deliver. So that's my thinking around that one. So you've got your own list. Check off your top 3. These will all be thought starters and discussion points. So you can see once you've done this work, you're not going to have the pressure of being in a group. You can think about this individually and then come ready to talk about, hey, here's where this really fits for me. So I think that's going to make for a richer discussion on Friday. All right, finally, last page, areas for improvement. So I wanted to set this one up just a little bit differently. And in areas for improvement, so everybody has a list here. I think I have 9 items on mine. These are Ryan has a tendency to. So on my first statements, Ryan has a tendency to be a situational listener if not given an opportunity to tell his ideas. So for each of the statements on your report, I want on a scale of 1 to 5, I want you to rank each statement a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So for instance, a 1 would be I totally disagree with that statement. A 2, I somewhat disagree. A 3, I'm neutral. A 4, I somewhat agree. A 5, I totally agree with that statement. So for me on the first one, I gave it a 4. So I somewhat agree with that. And you can see I've got 4, 4, 4, 2, 5. I've got some 2s. And the idea, I have no 3s in there. I also have no 1s because there's nothing I totally disagree with on my report there. But I also have no 3s. And for some of you that have a more sort of a neutral kind of personality style, things are okay. What I want you to do on this page is have a lean one way or the other. Have a lean toward a disagree or an agree. Only use neutral if it's a statement that you haven't ever had happen to you. So if you've had no experience with that statement, you may give it a 3. Otherwise, I don't want you to say, kind of yes, kind of no, because there's a lot of statements that are like that. I want you to have an opinion one way or the other, a lean, as I say, toward agree or disagree. All right, so that's the last page in your report, and that's going to be it for the pre-work. So if I went through that pretty quickly, that was 11, 12 minutes, something like that. And you can always rewind me and go back and see what we did on these pages or ask a friend. And hey, listen, I hope you all have a great retreat on Friday. I can't wait to hear how it goes. And I hope you have a great conversation around your disc style, which that's all we're measuring, by the way. I guess in one last synopsis, I'll say this disc report simply is measuring how you communicate and how you get your tasks done. So we say this is your how. We're not measuring your why. We're not measuring your what. We're not measuring your IQ, your EQ. We're just looking at how do you like to get things done. And so we'll have some conversation around the team and the wheel and things like that. That will all be fun. But take this time. This is your time for personal, professional development. Try to get something out of this, increasing your self-awareness and awareness of others so you can make better adjustments, have better communication, and build a much stronger, better team. All right, with that, I will let you all go. Looking forward to how it goes, and much success. Have a great meeting. Bye.